Now we are back, and today we are talking 35mm cameras. This was the first camera that I ever picked up. A Canon AE-1. I got this joint for I think like $100 on eBay, but this was like in 2019 or 2020. And I really wanted to dive into film photography just to become a better photographer so that I wasn't just always snapping like crazy. You know, like with digital, you can just snap all day long and see the instant result right then and there. But with film, you really have to take your time because you're not able to see what the photos look like. You have to get them developed, and you get them back and you're like, oh dang, all these are completely dark, or I got some light streaks in there or something like that. But I do think if you are considering getting a film camera and you really want to dive into film photography, you can't go wrong with this bad boy. I ended up breaking this sometime throughout my journey, but this one you can't go wrong. It's not too big. It can fit in your bag if you're walking around, or your purse, whatever it is. And you have all different types of film stock that you can use with it. I think this lens that I have on here is this is the 51.8. So it's a great lens. I wouldn't spend no more than like $200 on this. And you can find it on eBay or probably on Facebook Marketplace. But a lot of people are getting into film photography, so it might be a little bit different now as far as like the pricing, but still try not to spend any more than $200. And then I want to show y'all this bad boy. This is this is like brand spanking new for me. This is a Canon EOS 1N. I'm probably gonna do a breakdown of why I decided to get this camera a little bit later, but this is like been my workhorse for the past few weeks, and I'm loving it so far. All right, y'all, let's nerd out a bit. First, we're going to break down film photography and how it actually works. All right, so this right here is a roll of film. When you load film into your camera and you press the shutter, you're letting light inside. Once the light hits the film, it captures a moment or an imprint of whatever was in front of your lens or whatever you were taking a picture of. And this picture has a full range of tones and colors from the image that you took. And depending on your film stock, the colors will look a certain type of way. When you take your roll to get developed, your developer will put your roll of film through a process and kind of mix all the chemicals and colors together and put that on a film strip so that you can see what your photo looks like. Now let's get into some different kinds of 35mm film cameras. You have your single lens reflex camera. This gives you the option to change lenses and shoot manually. When you shoot manually, you can change the shutter speed, your f-stop or aperture, and when you're shooting digital and you're on manual, you can change your shutter speed, f-stop or aperture, and your ISO. But when you're shooting film, your ISO is controlled by what film stock you put into your camera. For example, it might be ISO 100, ISO 200, ISO 400, ISO 800. Now you can do this thing where you push or pull your film, but I'll have to save that conversation for a different video. Another type of film camera is a rangefinder. This has a different kind of viewfinder versus the one that you see on an SLR camera. What you see in the viewfinder is not necessarily what you get. So if you were to put like a longer lens on a rangefinder camera, the view won't change. Whereas if you were to put that same lens on SLR, you'll be able to see the difference because you can, zoom in and out, or you're looking through the viewfinder and you just see the difference that it's creating. Then you have like your regular point and shoot. Think like your Fujifilm camera or those like Kodak disposable cameras you used to take to amusement parks or vacations, family cookouts back in the day. Usually these have like a built-in flash so that anyone can use it. And generally these are fully automatic. You don't have to set or change your settings. You just point and shoot. And then there are some point and shoot that are more expensive that you can obviously reuse rather than just throwing them away. Now here's my Canon AE-1. Most of these 35mm SLR cameras will operate this way unless you start to get into the 120mm film cameras, which is a larger format, and the way those cameras are, they're just constructed a bit different. here's your shutter button to actually take the photo. And you have your counter, which shows you how many photos you've taken so far. And your shutter speed, which tells you how fast your shutter will open or close. Then you can pull this part up on your camera and you can change your ISO. But again, you generally want to keep your ISO the same that is on your film stock. All right, so there's supposed to be a silver part here that will allow you to wind your film once you complete the roll. And it also allows you to open up the back of your camera to load in your film, but unfortunately mine broke. Now let's talk about where you can find some of these film cameras. Check out your local flea markets or local stores, camera stores. They might have some film cameras available for you that you can like feel and try and things like that. And if you are looking into getting one, just make sure you're doing plenty of review work so that you're able to know what you're getting into. You know, if you're shooting a lot of stuff outdoors, this is gonna be a great camera. If you're shooting indoors, like it doesn't have a built-in flash or anything like that. So that could be something that is challenging for you if you're pretty green when it comes to this photography stuff. I don't even think I've used this with a flash yet, and I've had it for so long. There's plenty of other cameras out there, but to me, a tried and true one, I have been through the ringer with this thing. Again, a Canon AE-1, you cannot go wrong. I'm a Canon guy. I've been using Canon for so long. I started out on Canon digital, switched to Sony for a little bit because I was doing a lot of video stuff, like a little bit before 2020 and a little bit after. And then probably like 2 years ago, I switched back to Canon and I have not regretted it at all. So that's just my personal preference. But again, the Canon AE-1, can't go wrong.